Seymour Polatin, and I'm the curator of this exhibition at Spring Break 2020. And for this exhibition, I'm working with Assaf Shaham, and we are presenting 3 different pieces from his practice.
Okay, so basically the big floor piece that you see, which looks like a random selection of all kind of supermarket products, it's basically a work that follows a very simple logic, and it's basically what you look at is a calendar based on the expiration dates of the work. So over there on the far left you have the January 1st, 2019, and it goes January, February, March, April, May, all the way there to December 31st. The piece called A Rotten Year, some thrown, some eaten, some kept. And it's just the expiration dates of the produce were determined to select them. So the process was like I started it. Before the year started, I had this idea and I started to collect it, and then I had like this freedom of like choosing whatever I want because it was all expired within this range. So the beginning, the process was like I just picked the things I was like attracted to, like by the color, by the brand, by the form, and then slowly, the more I gathered like the dates I needed more specific dates, and then it switched from like my decision to whatever I can find. Yeah, and sometimes I can go to a supermarket and like knowing that I need May 15, I need like this specific date, and then it's like it can take hours of going on the shelves digging for like a very specific expiration date. I went to all kind of supermarkets, from like mostly the cheaper ones, but also to like more bougie ones. But I always went to like a very big supermarket so nobody will notice what I'm doing. Not that I've done anything bad, but I was definitely acting like a psychopath. Because I could like go into the shelf, and if for example, I need like September 21st, and I go into a shelf and I find September 22nd, and I'm going crazy because like, where's the 21st? And anyway, I went to the bigger supermarkets to kind of blend in and not be noticeable, minding my own business. Here in the center you have a misting vitrine, which also use one element of the supermarket. The element is basically this metal misting pipe, which produced this mist in the supermarket over the vegetables and over the fruits. And when I first saw it, I knew that what I'm looking at is a real tomato and a real water. But I knew that I'm like in the world of images because it's obviously meant to throw you into this field in the morning when the farmer wakes up and sees his super fresh tomato with the morning mist. But again, it's like just the image of freshness. So the idea of the image of freshness was something that was really interesting to me as a photographer trained artist. And I think it's just like a very sophisticated way of creating photographic images, but in the real world. Basically, I discovered the mist when I first came to Los Angeles, and in the more like bougie supermarkets, you can find them like misting on the fruits and the vegetables. And sometimes they're off, sometimes they're on, and every time they come on, it's like a spectacle. It's like with sound, and suddenly everything becomes super saturated and wet and sexy and fresh. And it just like really reminded me of like image production or like photographic image production. And even in photographs, I don't know, when you see a commercial to a burger, always on the lettuce, you'll see like a few drops. So this very traditional vitrine is basically a fountain, because in the bottom you have the water comes to the top, mist, and goes back. Basically, I mean, I'm kind of saying the obvious, especially, you know, I didn't thought about like presenting it in the situation of an art fair, but obviously like the criticism of like a consumption space And I think the supermarket is really like an equivalent strategy to a gallery, and like it's at least thought of like, you know, the arrangement of the space, where the products, and the consumption. Yeah, that's another mannequin, which basically it's also a found object, again with the open mouth, and this time the mannequin were made that when it's leveled down, the eyes are shut. I don't know, I really admire photographers that are like staying in the medium, you know, and still making like photographic work, but for me the medium itself becomes super problematic and saturated, and I'm much more interested in the borders of photography, especially when I see all kind of objects in the real world taking like a photographic attitude. So I'm much more interested in the extension or like the wider field of photography, because yeah, I would say this is photography. I present myself as a photographist, not as a photographer, but as a photographist, because I think that I always start with thinking about or like viewing it through the lens of like photography as a medium, but then extend it to more sculptural forms. I did went to like several art programs, and unfortunately, like for better or worse, I am like trained or like I don't know, art educated, but I think the most important thing for me is like actually the display, you know. So like, yeah, the vitrine is like very like professional, you know. It's like a proper museum vitrine. But it's funny because, like, for example, the vitrine, most of the time, the vitrine is there to protect whatever it's inside, because it's important for the institution. It's valuable. It's breakable. But this time, the vitrine actually protects the space itself, not whatever inside, because whatever inside is deteriorating, and that way the water contained inside. Because when you think about like, I mean, when I talked with like, I don't know, curators and stuff like that, you know, they say like, I can't have water on the floor. So this time the vitrine comes to like contain, help the space, not whatever inside of it. So it's kind of like a flip of roles. But yeah, the display itself is something that's very important for me. No matter if it's like a wall piece, floor piece, or like a very institutional form of vitrine.